Greetings, YouTubers. Does Barack Hussein Obama get off on? Is he amused by the deaths of American soldiers? American soldiers getting their heads blown off? We'll limit this to discussion of Afghanistan. And the reason I ask that, I know there's a lot of people who go, "Oh, I'm offended. I can't believe you said I'm going to flag this. Oh, you can't be doing that. That's disgraceful, disrespectful to Hussein Obama." Well, you may remember back in 2007, while an increase in federal ship spending was being debated, and it also should be noted that the Republicans never cut ship spending against the rate of inflation. It continued to increase, but Republicans did what they usually do. The Democrats wanted a whole bunch, and the Republicans said, yes, we'll go along with the increase, but not quite as much, because that's what the Republicans do, and that's why that party is dying. Pete Stark wanted a bigger increase. He went to the House floor in a polemic against President Bush and accused him of basically he accused them of indiscriminate killing of foreign peoples in the Middle East. And then he said basically, and I'll play the clip of him, he says it better in his own words, that President Bush hopes that we can have enough young people if we don't fund this ship expansion. You know, some of them will die because they won't get health care because ship spending is being cut. But if enough of them do get old enough, we can send them overseas to get their heads blown off for the president's amusement. And I'll play that clip now.
Can't figure out, the Republicans are worried that we can't pay for ensuring an additional 10 million children. They sure don't care about finding $200 billion to fight the illegal war in Iraq. Where are you going to get that money? You're going to tell us lies like you're telling us today? Is that how you're going to fund the war? You don't have money to fund the war or children, but you're going to spend it to blow up innocent people if we can get enough kids to grow old enough for you to send to Iraq to get their heads blown off for the president's amusement.
With that said, why hasn't, what would the media do if a Republican said much the same thing about Hussein Obama? And check the links underneath the video, of course. One of the links I cite, they attribute the deaths in 2009 that occurred after Hussein got inaugurated. That they include that, but I'm not going to, because even if Hussein, he promised to escalate the war in Afghanistan, and then he went way above what he promised during the campaign. But I'm not going to attribute the deaths in 2009 to his regime, because even if he'd wanted to pull out, it's not something you can do, because there's a lot of heavy equipment, a lot of people, a lot of logistics involved. You can't just pull out of a war in 2 weeks. So it would take many months to facilitate a withdrawal. So I'm only counting the deaths from January 1st, 2010 until now. So if a Republican got up and said Hussein likes sending our boys, young men, overseas to get their heads blown off for his amusement, would the media tar and feather him? And another thing, a lot of these, you don't see these anti-war protests as often, and if they did, they wouldn't be covered as much, because we have a different person in the White House. 124 soldiers so far dead in 2012 in Afghanistan. 124. 497 died in 2010. 399 died in 2011. Attributing all those deaths under Hussein's regime. I'm doing just what the Democrats did, politicizing every death in Iraq, getting off on counting towards those milestones. They did it in Iraq and Afghanistan. 1,020 deaths so far under Hussein from 2010 through the first 5 months of 2012. That's more than half, for those of you who are math challenged, more than half of the 1,881 total deaths in Afghanistan. So if a Republican said that, it would be big news. Pete Stark did apologize for it, but if a Republican did it, would they ever forgive him? No, it would be news for a month, and the media largely ignored it. So, turning the tables now on Hussein, does he get off on that, or is he going to be called out on that for his warmongering or not? I doubt it. I just figured I'd get that off my chest. I also wanted to add this quickly. The Democrats did not intend to end the Iraq War. Mayor Pelosi promised if the Democrats took over Congress in January 2007, they would end it. They didn't. They might come up with the talking point that Bush would have vetoed it, But Bush can't spend what you don't give him. And if Congress allocates, let's say, $1 billion to the Department of Energy, the president can't just, by fiat, take that money from the Department of Energy and give it to the Department of the Interior. If they refuse to fund the war or just use funds to facilitate that withdrawal, Bush would have had his hands tied. So they never had any intention of doing that. They did it to get elected. Hussein also never had any intention of ending the Iraq War in 2009, as he promised. He did it to get elected. They used you people, the Democrats, speaking of you, code pinkers, they used you as pawns to get elected. And that's all.